Okay, we're gonna take a break. We have a really bizarre assortment of food for you all. They're all Dad's favorite things. So there is smoked salmon dip. There are carrot sticks, because he always had to have those. There's pie, there's cookies. Let's see, did I say the prawns? Lumpia and halibut. Even though, okay, so you like to eat the halibut, we couldn't catch halibut, but yeah, he'll eat halibut. He loves halibut. So there's also a water lemonade tea. We did that for a reason. He didn't like coffee, so I apologize to you that wanted your caffeine fix. He wouldn't want coffee here, so there is none. But it's around the back side there. And then after that, we'll have an open mic, so anybody that wants to come up and talk about a memory or anything, we'd appreciate it. There's notes on the table if anybody wants to write a memory. You can go to the little, you can go over there in the little boat. Other than that, I think you can actually go two ways. So either the front back there or back here.
Like the Prince of Wales on deer census. I never heard anybody else do it. And he was telling me of some of the deer he saw, some of the memories of that journey, and don't ever do that again. He was a welcome source of information, and if I said something about a drainage or an island or an animal, he had a story. And it was pertinent, and it made a difference in my knowledge, as it was so many of the old timers that I knew up to close this off, I started a logging museum at the mill a few years ago, and there's there's a number of still saws in it. More likely they had his hand on it. You want to go visit me, invite me out there. Thanks.
I came to Ketchikan in 1961, I guess. And the first year I came here, what brought me to Ketchikan was I had a job with Lyle's parents, Russell and Emily Simpson, who had at that time Simpson Air, an air taxi here. And that began the association that I had with Lyle. Later, I was there a year, and then I went on to other things, and when Lyle worked for the Fish and Game at that time, we spent about 4 years or so off and on because the people I worked for had a contract with Fish and Game. Ultimately, we ended up as partners at Timber Marine, and became lifelong friends after that. But I was with Timber Marine for 12 years, and during that period of time, there were a few comical incidents that took place, and some that weren't so comical that we won't go there. When we first started, I had a little outboard shop, and we bought Marina Mart, which is where Timber Marine was, which was a totally unfinished place, and we built it up into what it was while it was there. The first day, Lyle was at where Timber Marine was, and I was down at the other place, and I stopped by on the way home, and he had departed from the Fish and Game, and I was looking for a partner, and so it worked out really well. So the first day, I stopped there to see how it went, and his eyes were about this big around, and I think he'd taken his life savings to become partners. And I said, how'd it go? And he said, I don't know. He said, you know what our gross income was today? I said, no, what? He said, 50 cents. Sold 2 shear pins for an 18-horse outboard. I said, that'll be all right. So with that, we carried on, and along the way, we decided that we could sell snowmobiles. So we did, and we had a couple, and I had one, and he had one, and we'd take them up to Harriet Hunt and demonstrate them on weekends. So Lyle had his snow machine sitting right in the middle of the floor at Timber Marine, which ended up being a store area, retail area. And one day, some friends or people that we knew was a lady came in the store, and she had her 2 little kids with her. And Lyle had his helmet for his snow machine and his goggles and his gloves and all this stuff. And this little fellow walked up there and jumped on that snowmobile and grabbed the handlebars and started jerking them back and forth. And the helmet flew off on the floor, and Lyle's standing over there looking at this, and he was pretty proud of his snow machine. And so he walked over there and he told the little boy, "You get off my snow machine." And the little boy just looked at him like, forget it. And little kid sat there and took a few verbal instructions, and he looked up at Lyle and he said, "I don't think I like you." Lyle had his finger like this, and he's poking this kid on top of the head. He said, "You don't tell me that, this is my place." So with that, they left, and then little boy's mother came in later and said, "I don't know what happened here, but she said every time we drive by Timber and Marine, he wants to come in and say hello to Lyle." So that's how that went. But, and I won't bore you with a lot of stories about a lot that he probably wouldn't care to help me tell. But during the time that we were business partners, I never once saw him treat anyone disrespectfully as far as cheating them on anything, there was never, ever any of that. And he was a guy that was 100% honest. And I don't care who you are, you could trust him indefinitely and 100%. And he was the evidence of what a man should be, actually. And basically, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
From my 100 or more telephone calls with Lyle, and they were never less than an hour. So there was lots of information that I got from Lyle on things that he and my brother did. But the one thing I think I'd like to finish and share with you is that Lyle told me on those telephone calls that the year 1953 was so wet and cold that he decided to go to college down in Fresno State. He said he just went south and decided he would drive until it was warm weather. He says in Seattle it was 70, which seemed pretty good. He says in Oregon it was 80. Well, that was even better. When he got to Northern California, it was 90. And this is, now we're getting a little bit warmer. He said Fresno was like 100. He said it seemed good then, but after 1 year there, he couldn't take that anymore. So he came back. I think he went to Sail Pacific for a year or two, and somewhere in there decided that he was going to major in marine biology. And so he switched to the University of Washington, got his marine biology degree, must have met somebody there in the school. And meanwhile, Alaska was having trouble with our fish traps and our total fishery system. So many canneries, so many fish traps, and the declining of the fish. And so 2 or 3 of the doctorates working as professors at UW were hired to come up here and study this situation. And Lyle, by that time, had graduated. And Lyle was the first, what I would call civilian grunt, who they hired to go out and get some information. So in the stories that he told me over these 100 hours of conversation, his first summer, most of it out on the west coast of Prince of Wales Island, he had 27 incidents with bears. You know, he's in the rivers counting fish and taking samples and whatever they do to give the information back to the bosses. His bosses were the doctorate professors at UW. And of course, the state of Alaska had hired these guys to help us with our fishery situation. So there was Lyle, and they needed a guy, and so out in the creeks, 27 experiences, and I just wanted to share with you my favorite story. So in order to take fish scales and other samples from the fish, you got to go into the rivers. So he said on both sides of the rivers there's nice trails. So, well, they're nice trails because they're bear trails. So he walked up this one stream and he saw the little side branch that went from the bear trail to the river, which he took. And as he got out right to the river, he hears something in the tree above him, and he looks up, and there's 2 cubs. And out in the river is a mother bear who has decided that this is not a good situation. But she didn't attack him. She just came looking, getting closer. She got so close to him, he said, and I believe anything that he said because he's never lied to me, he had his hands out and was backing up and trying to move to the side. He says that bear got so close to him that she was actually hissing and spitting on his hands. And that situation and the other 26 situations, he never pulled a gun and shot the bear. I just find that totally amazing. He had several other situations where he shot into the river or into the shore alongside of the bear to scare him off, but he never killed a bear in those 27 situations. And I've admired him greatly because of that situation and the results of his research, because we might have doctorates and businessmen who were involved with the project, but at that time Lyle was the only grunt getting the information. And the result was the fish hatcheries. So I think the one that's out there south of town was their first fish hatchery. And that was Lyle Simpson that did that.